Sagittarius, be truly mindful of how you say no when someone tries to persuade you, or you may lose what is most valuable to you. Have you ever felt that life sometimes places you in situations where saying no becomes incredibly difficult? A vague acquaintance suddenly appears, speaks sweet words, and presents an offer that seems harmless, yet leaves you torn for days? For Sagittarius, the zodiac sign ruled by Jupiter, the planet of luck and expansion. Situations like this tend to happen more often than to anyone else. Because within you lies a deep belief that people are born to be trusted. Because you live with such sincerity, such openness, and always want to believe that the world still holds much goodness. But precisely because of that, the universe often sends you trials that don't arrive with thunderous sounds or dramatic upheavals. They come in the form of unconscious nods, moments of agreement made out of politeness or the inability to disappoint someone. And from there, you unknowingly open the door for loss, for things that were never meant to be yours, to flood into your life. In the next 30 minutes, I will help you, a luminous Sagittarius, recognize the disguised invitations knocking at your destiny this month. I will show you the astrological signs warning of challenges to your trust, your kindness, and your finances. And above all, I will guide you on how to say no without losing the light in your heart. Do not leave, because from this moment on, you are stepping into a journey of awakening, where just one right choice could preserve an entire prosperous future for you. Leave a comment saying, "I am ready to protect my sacred fortune." That is not just a declaration, but an act of connecting with the universal energy quietly guiding you toward the best things in life. And if these words resonate with you, share this video with other Sagittarians, because when you spread the light, you're not just helping others, but also awakening the miraculous protection the universe has reserved just for you. Sagittarius, innocence and the fire of instinct. There is something not everyone realizes. Each zodiac sign is a living symbol of ancient soul archetypes that the universe has sown into human life. And Sagittarius, symbolized by the centaur drawing its bow toward the horizon, is the embodiment of freedom, of raw instinct fused with noble ideals. Perhaps that is why Sagittarius is one of the few zodiac signs that carries within a fascinating paradox. Innocence and instinctive fire. It is the innocence of a soul that never stops believing in goodness, and the fire of a primal force that urges them to charge forward despite the risks. When you observe a Sagittarius in daily life, you will see they are easy to befriend, always enthusiastic, always searching for meaning and eager to learn more about the world. They can talk for hours about a new idea, a philosophy of life they just read, or a distant land they dream of visiting. But there's something few notice. The more idealistic a Sagittarius is, the more easily they can be manipulated by words that also sound idealistic, but lack sincerity. Because they believe in goodness. They believe everyone has a spark of light inside. And they believe that if they treat others kindly, those people will reciprocate. That very belief, when not tempered with awareness, becomes the most exploitable vulnerability. Classical astrology once said, Jupiter is the planet of blessings, but also the planet of gullibility if it falls into shadow. Sagittarius, under the guardianship of Jupiter, leads a life seemingly designed to learn through experience. They cannot stay still, they cannot tolerate restrictions, and so, when someone comes along with a new offer, a seductive promise filled with bright prospects, Sagittarius often nods in agreement, not because they are foolish, but because they fear missing out on something beautiful. Yet the danger lies here. Not everyone who extends an invitation is truly offering something good. Some approach Sagittarius not because they love your light, but because they want to use it for their own purpose. You may recall a moment in your life when you agreed to help someone who seemed in need, only to later realize they lacked nothing except sincerity. You might remember a time when you eagerly invested in a hopeful project, only to discover it was a borrowed dream. And after it all, It wasn't others you were most angry with, it was yourself. For being too trusting. Too easily swayed. But do you know something? That is not a flaw. That is part of the Sagittarius journey. Because you are the sign of learning. And one of your greatest lessons is to discern true light from the artificial light crafted only to deceive. In Western mythology, there is the tale of Chiron, a divine Sagittarius. A great healer wounded because of his own goodness. Though a warrior, he did not use his bow to hunt but to protect what was right. Yet he was struck by a poisoned arrow, for helping someone unworthy. That image is not so different from what modern-day Sagittarians are going through. You are strong, agile, intelligent, but sometimes, because you believe others are like you, you lower your bow too quickly and forget that not every invitation comes from the light. As we mature, and especially when we enter middle age, when dreams give way to reflection, we begin to realize something important. Sometimes, awareness is not doubt, but kindness toward ourselves. A mature Sagittarius never stops trusting, but they learn how to set boundaries. They don't abandon kindness, but they understand that compassion must walk hand in hand with wisdom. They know that a timely refusal, a gentle but firm shake of the head, can be the most loving act they offer themselves. And that is when the instinctive fire of Sagittarius truly shines. It is not a reckless blaze. It is a fire that has passed through pain, has endured wounds, and still burns. That fire carries wisdom, intuition, and the power to illuminate the path for both oneself and others. People often praise Sagittarius as an inspirer. But how can you inspire others if you do not know how to protect the light within you? How can you guide someone else if you let yourself be led by empty promises? This month, the universe is not asking you to close your heart. On the contrary, it is inviting you to open up to something greater. Clarity. When you understand that innocence is a gift, but mindfulness is protection, you begin the spiritual maturity of Sagittarius. And in that stage, every decision you make, even a refusal, carries healing energy for both yourself and those around you. If you're still listening at this point, perhaps your heart has also experienced moments of vulnerability through trust. And that is a good thing. Because those who have been hurt by love are the very ones being called back by the universe to learn the most important lesson of all. To love yourself wisely. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, is there something inviting me right now? Is there a proposal I'm unsure whether to accept or reject? Let your intuition lead, not your fear of disappointing others. Let the light within you choose what is right, rather than letting your tenderness push you toward what is wrong. And if you are ready, affirm it with me by silently saying to yourself, I am Sagittarius. I will not allow my inner light to be taken advantage of. Leave a comment if this resonates with you. Share it as a reminder to other Sagittarians who may have forgotten that they have the right to say no. And remember, not everyone is entrusted by the universe with fire, but Sagittarius is. And you must learn to keep it burning at the right time. In the right place, in the right way. Temptation, the most subtle form of loss. And then, as Sagittarius gradually learns to ignite their inner fire with greater awareness, the universe begins to send them trials no longer easily seen with the naked eye. If in the past, traps appeared in crude forms, like a blatant lie or a clearly manipulative person, now they come wrapped in kindness, dressed in sincerity, and sometimes, as a gift disguised in affection. This is the phase where many Sagittarians do not realize they are standing before the most refined kind of temptation, temptation disguised as goodness. Temptation never knocks on your door with harsh words. It arrives in the form of an old friend gently asking for a favor after a long time apart. It arrives as an investment opportunity introduced by a trusted companion. It appears when someone compliments you for being generous, for living for others. Then subtly places you in the role of the helper. It is not obviously evil, but it is a delicate path leading to loss if you do not listen to your intuition. In astrology, such moments are known as cycles of tested faith, When Neptune, the planet of illusion, dreams, and confusion, forms a square with your Jupiter, it does not strip away your luck, but distorts your judgment of what truly is fortunate. An offer that sounds reasonable might lead you astray. A person who seems trustworthy might cause you to overlook your instincts. And it all begins with one step, trusting the wrong source. You might think, but what if I say no and I'm wrong? What if that really was a good opportunity? This fear of missing out is exactly what temptation targets. For Sagittarius, this is even more powerful. As you are someone who dislikes being left behind, you always want to expand, to explore, to keep moving forward. But not every path is meant for you. Some paths are lit only to lure you in, and cause you to lose the true light waiting elsewhere. Perhaps you still remember the feeling, the moment after you helped someone, only to realize they didn't need you the way they pretended. Or after signing a seemingly safe contract, you noticed you hadn't read the fine print. These losses do not come all at once. They happen quietly, like a tiny crack on the surface of a mirror, until one day, everything shatters and you can't find where it all began. That is why I say temptation is the most subtle form of loss. It does not take from you noisily. It lets you open the door, invite it in, and then silently redirects your path. Hermetic astrology once said, when you are drawn to something too quickly, question it. What truly belongs to you will never make you lose your direction. Sagittarius, you love freedom. But you are also easily drawn toward things that seem exciting, that seem ideal. That's why you must learn the difference between an invitation and a pull. A true invitation will make you feel calm, clear, and give you time to think. But a pull always brings urgency, pressure, and emotional manipulation. I once met a Sagittarius woman around the age of 52, a wise, seasoned soul who had been successful in real estate investment. She told me that after decades of clarity and success, she let herself be moved by a story from an old acquaintance, and within a few months, she lost over $100 in a loan that could never be recovered. What hurt her the most was not the money. It was the feeling that she had betrayed her own intuition. I knew something felt off from the beginning, she said. But I thought, I've helped so many people before, why not one more time? That story doesn't belong to her alone. It belongs to many other Sagittarians. Those who carry light within but forget that light must be protected with awareness. If you're in your middle years, you surely understand that life is not only black and white. It is filled with endless shades of gray, and in those gray areas, temptation thrives. It does not lie to you. It simply helps you convince yourself that something isn't that bad. So how do you recognize temptation? Ask yourself these 3 questions whenever someone presents an offer. 1. Do I have enough time to think? Or am I being rushed into a decision? 2. Am I feeling at peace? Or am I anxious and trying to ignore it? 3. Am I sacrificing my own sense of safety because I'm afraid of disappointing someone? If you answer these questions honestly, you will avoid many unnecessary losses. More importantly, you will begin to step out of the loop of repeating lessons, a cycle the universe always hopes you'll break free from. Temptation is not always terrible. Sometimes, it is how the universe tests whether you are ready to enter a new phase. Just like when you train, there are always final tests before you level up, and those tests rarely come in the form of hardship. They come disguised as unusually favorable conditions. When everything feels too perfect to be true, that is the moment to pause. Take a deep breath, and ask the universe, is this truly the path meant for me? Remember, for Sagittarius, no loss is ever truly wasted if you learn something from it. But if you keep letting the same lessons repeat, that is no longer experience, that is karma. And the universe does not want you to live in the cycle of karma. It wants you to awaken. Step out, and choose again, with full consciousness. And if today, you find yourself standing before a proposal, an opportunity, or a person who makes you hesitate, then this is your sign from the universe. You don't need to decide right now. You only need to return to your intuition, to the wisdom built through all your ups and downs. That is your true light. That is where your answer lies. I am mature enough not to be pulled in by glittering lights that exist only in illusion. Write this sentence down, or comment it now if you feel it touches something in your heart. Because when you dare to name the thing that once caused you to stumble, you've already begun to heal. The art of saying no, when a no carries sacred power. Once Sagittarius understands that not every invitation comes from the light, they must learn something even more important: how to say no consciously. Not every offer needs to be accepted. Not everyone who knocks should be welcomed in. And not all generosity is a sign of light. Sometimes, kindness becomes a sweet trap. There are moments when a simple nod can cause you to lose something precious that you've spent your whole life building. And it is in that very moment, when you stand between politeness and intuition, that the art of saying no is born. For many, saying no is awkward, but for Sagittarius, it is even harder, because you were born to connect, to share, to give. You don't want others to be hurt. You don't want to be misunderstood. And you fear that a shake of the head might cause someone to walk away from you forever. But what is more frightening than that? It is when you say yes, while your soul is screaming no. It is when you smile and agree to things your intuition has already warned you about. It is when you keep the peace at the cost of your own peace. That is what truly robs a Sagittarius of their soul's freedom, the most precious thing you have ever possessed. Astrology is not just about fate. It speaks of rhythm and choice. And in every cycle of growth, there will always be a stage where you must learn to say no, not to create distance, but to protect your path. When Mercury squares Jupiter, an event that happens a few times a year, it symbolizes moments when you must make important decisions regarding information, speech, and personal boundaries. In such moments, if you keep saying yes to everything, you will be swept along by someone else's current and one day wake up asking, why am I here? So, how can a Sagittarius, someone open and generous, say no without losing their essence? The answer is not to change your personality. It lies in upgrading your inner strength. Saying no is not shutting down. Saying no at the right time is one of the deepest acts of self-love. You don't need to become cold. You just need to be clear. You don't have to speak harshly. You just need to be honest with how you feel inside. I once heard a teaching from a Western spiritual practitioner who said, a refusal spoken with sincerity can save a soul from wandering into darkness. And you know what? Many people around you are actually waiting for you to say no. They wait for you to set boundaries so they can learn respect. They wait for your refusal so they can stop themselves from making a mistake. And sometimes, that no is not just protection for you, it is light that guides others. A mature Sagittarius might say, I really care about you, but I cannot help you in this way. Or, I need more time to think. This doesn't align with my intuition right now. These statements don't make you smaller, they make you stronger. Because they reflect self-possession, something anyone who has passed the midpoint of life longs to have. That self-possession is the result of having been hurt, of having lost, and choosing not to shut down but to refine yourself, with a wise heart. Let me tell you an image from ancient astrology, when the sun passes through Sagittarius. It is said that the soul is in a phase of seeking meaning after enduring the pain of Scorpio. In that journey, if the Sagittarius continues to open their heart without discerning what is true light, they will become lost. But if they know how to say no, they will find the gateway to Capricorn, a place of maturity, responsibility, and self-respect. In other words, saying no is the bridge to a more grounded life. And remember this, the universe does not send you random invitations. Every offer, whether it's a loan, a favor, or an investment opportunity, is a small test of karma. If you say no at the right time, you break the cycle. If you keep saying yes because you're afraid of upsetting someone, you spin into another cycle of loss. The universe always gives you a choice, but it also quietly watches how you choose. And each nod or shake of the head, you are shaping your future. If you're still listening to me now, perhaps your heart has also hesitated before. Maybe you're in that moment right now. Maybe someone is asking for your help, your sympathy, or a form of collaboration that leaves you uncertain. Let me speak on behalf of the universe and tell you this. You have the right to say no. You don't have to endure just because you're afraid of seeming selfish. A Sagittarius who knows their limits is the strongest kind of Sagittarius. A Sagittarius who says no to what is wrong is saying yes to the true light of their life. So right now, I want you to take a deep breath and whisper to yourself, I reject what does not align, to preserve what sacredly belongs to me. If you feel this sentence carries the right energy for you, comment on it. It's not just a digital action. It's your way of signing a new beginning with the universe. And if you find value in what I've said, share this video with another Sagittarius, because who knows? You might be saving them from a sweet trap they have yet to see. This April, the universe is testing Sagittarius. There are months in the year that pass quietly, like a soft background melody. But there are also months that sound like an alarm bell. A clear signal from the universe that it's time to reflect, to choose again, and to move forward with a different mindset. This April is one of those months, especially for Sagittarius, because this is not just a seasonal transition, but a shift in energy. When major planets begin moving into sensitive positions on the astrological chart, creating deeply personal challenges, particularly for fire signs like you. Over the years, you may have grown accustomed to things going relatively smoothly, thanks to the good fortune brought by Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sagittarius. But what few people notice is this: Jupiter doesn't only bring blessings. It is also the planet of faith being tested. It amplifies everything, the good and the not so good. And when Jupiter's energy meets conflicting aspects this April, you'll find yourself in situations that can no longer be solved with generosity or enthusiasm alone. This is the moment you must face yourself, confronting the fine lines between helping others and allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. Astrology shows that in April, the combination of Pluto in Aquarius and Jupiter in Taurus will create a powerful pull in areas of finance, partnership, and trust. For Sagittarius, this means you'll encounter many seemingly appealing offers, invitations that appear to come at the right time from the right person. But it's precisely those things that seem right that are the true test. Because your challenge now is not whether you're capable, but whether you are clear-minded enough to discern what truly belongs to you and what is just an illusion. I'm reminded of the story of Mr. T. A Sagittarius man in his 50s who once held a managerial position in a large company. He was kind-hearted, always willing to help others, never hesitating. At one point, several old acquaintances began reaching out to borrow money or ask him to co-sign loans. At first, he declined gently, but then an old college friend came to him, claiming they urgently needed investment capital, calling it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Mr. T thought long and hard. Finally, not wanting to sever a long-standing friendship, he agreed. 3 months later, the person disappeared. The amount of money lost wasn't enough to ruin him, but it kept him awake many nights, not because of the money, but because he lost faith in himself. Later, when speaking with me, he said, I already had an uneasy feeling, but I ignored it, because I didn't want to be too calculating. I didn't want to be seen as selfish. But I forgot, being cautious isn't the same as being selfish. I still remember the look in his eyes when he said that, the look of someone seasoned. Not bitter, not resentful, just wiser. And I believe, if a Sagittarius like him can overcome such a situation and learn a vital lesson about boundaries, then any Sagittarius can do the same. This April, you may be tested in a similar way, gently, yet deeply. You'll face situations where you must choose between honoring an old promise or protecting your current peace. Between pleasing others or listening to your inner knowing. Between continuing to give or stepping back to see if the recipient truly appreciates what you're offering. These choices won't be easy, but they are the very tests the universe uses to see how much you've matured on your spiritual path. Let astrology be your compass. When Mercury goes retrograde in mid-April, especially in Taurus, limit long-term commitments. Don't rush into sweet-sounding promises. And when the full moon appears at the end of the month, use it as an opportunity to cleanse your emotions, to review all the invitations that came your way, and ask yourself, am I living in alignment with the energy I want to sustain? Sometimes, what you need to do is not to act, but to wait, to observe, to give everything enough time to reveal its true nature. Because, you know, what's truly meant for you won't require you to sacrifice your peace. It will arrive gently, at the right time, and it will give you confidence, not confusion. The universe doesn't test you to punish you. It tests you to help you see the true value of what you already have, so you can treasure it more, protect it better, and know how to say no to what might destroy it. If you've stayed with me until now, I believe you are a Sagittarius who truly wants to grow, to step out of the cycle of repeated mistakes. And that is something worth honoring. Tonight, when everything is quiet, I invite you to write down one affirmation for yourself. It doesn't have to be poetic, just true, like, I am clear-headed enough not to lose my fortune to people-pleasing. If that sentence feels right to you, comment it below. That's how you tell the universe you're ready to walk through April's test, with awareness, not fleeting emotions. And if you know a fellow Sagittarius standing at a crossroads, send them this video. Who knows, you might be helping them escape a painful test they haven't yet seen. Because when you help someone else protect their light, you also brighten your own path. Protecting blessings, the sacred mission of every Sagittarius. Eventually, after facing all the invitations, the trials of temptation, and the moments of learning to say no to preserve clarity, you will begin to touch a deeper truth. Blessings do not come from opening your heart to everything. Blessings truly remain only when you learn to guard the gate, and guarding the gate is not about shutting down. It is a sacred ritual that only souls mature enough can perform. For Sagittarius, the archer aiming the arrow toward the light, learning to protect what is precious is the most important lesson on the path of spiritual evolution. There may be something you've felt but couldn't quite name, at times. You've done so much good, helped so many people, lived with integrity, and yet, you still feel a quiet emptiness. You ask yourself, is there something I haven't done right? Or is there something within me being drained without my awareness? The answer lies here. Blessings only truly bloom when you learn to protect them like a cherished garden, instead of letting them be trampled by indulgence and kindness without boundaries. In classical astrology, Sagittarius is the 9th sign, symbolizing life philosophy, vision, and faith in divine guidance. You are a soul born to blaze trails, to shine light, to sow hope, but because of this role, you are also an easy target for unkind energies. Others may close themselves off to avoid being hurt, but not you. You crave connection. You want to go further. And for that reason, you need stronger protection, not in the form of coldness, but through awareness. Look back on the past few years. Have you ever lost an opportunity simply because you trusted too much? Have you ever felt your energy drained because you tried too hard to please someone who didn't deserve it? Have you ever entered a seemingly well-intentioned relationship only to realize you were the only one trying to maintain it? If the answer is yes, you're not alone. It's a journey many Sagittarians have walked, and it does not make you weaker. On the contrary, it proves you are getting closer to your highest mission, protecting the light in your soul. So, how can you truly protect your blessings without losing your essential goodness? How do you keep an open heart without allowing it to be wounded? The answer isn't found in any grand philosophy. It lies in the smallest daily choices. When you choose not to engage in a conversation filled with gossip. When you turn down an investment opportunity that sounds ideal but unsettles your heart. When you decide to stay home one evening instead of meeting someone you no longer feel aligned with. All those little things are acts of energetic protection. And when you protect your energy, the universe protects you. I still remember a Sagittarius woman I once met during a spiritual retreat. She was over 60, had taught for more than 30 years, and now lived simply on a small piece of land covered in lavender. She told me that at one time, she helped so many people, so much so that she had no time left for herself. She used to believe that giving was the most noble act. But then one day, she realized she no longer knew who she was. She lost sleep, lost energy, and lost the joy of living. Only when she started saying no, began choosing more carefully. Did she receive a miracle? The healing energy returned. I never stopped giving, she said. I just learned how not to let myself be depleted. And that's when the blessings truly began to bloom around me. That story still lingers with me, to this day, gently, because it so closely mirrors what Sagittarius needs to hear, to understand, and to live by. Because protecting blessings is not selfishness. It is the maturity of someone who has been through many wounds, yet still chooses to believe in the light, only this time, with awareness of how to preserve it. This month, and in the months to come, start with the small actions. A gentle refusal, a moment of stillness for yourself. A timely decision to pause. And every time you do, know that you are not just guarding your own blessings. Every time you set a boundary, you are quietly teaching the universe, I am worthy of being loved and protected properly. And once you affirm that, the vibrations around you will shift. Those who take advantage will fall away. Unhealthy opportunities will fade. And in their place, true connections and timely blessings will begin to appear, gently, but lastingly. Before we close this chapter, I want you, the Sagittarius who is still listening, to take a few seconds for yourself. Close your eyes, place your hand over your chest, and softly say, I protect my blessings with clarity and gratitude. If that sentence brings you a sense of the right vibration, comment it, write it down, share that energy with those you love. And if what I've shared with you today has meaning, share this video with other Sagittarians. Because when you help someone protect their blessings, you're also adding to the light within yourself. So we've reached the end of a 30-minute journey, a sacred pause in the rush of life for you. A Sagittarius who carries the sacred fire, to stop and look deeply within. Perhaps, for a long time, you've tried to live kindly, stay open, give without holding back, and trust without fear, only to sometimes find yourself drained, lost, or disheartened. But do you know why? It's not because you did wrong. It's because the universe is inviting you to step up to a higher level of consciousness. A place where you not only know how to love, but how to keep that love safe with wisdom. When you learn to say no at the right time, when you are clear enough to recognize disguised temptation, and when you know how to protect what is sacred to you, that's when you enter the true phase of spiritual maturity as a Sagittarius. No longer the one who rushes to save everyone in every situation, but the one who listens deeply to their intuition. Who knows the difference between true light and sparkling illusion? I believe that from this moment on, you will no longer hesitate when faced with a choice. You will no longer blame yourself for saying no to something that doesn't fit. And you will begin to honor your own light more deeply, because you understand that only when that light is preserved can it continue to shine for others. If what I've shared today has touched your heart, leave a comment as your signal to the universe. I protect the light within me, and give it only to what is worthy. That is not just a sentence. It is a vow, to yourself, to your soul, and to the path you are destined to walk. And if you find this message meaningful, share the video with the ones you love, especially the Sagittarians standing at a crossroads in their lives. Remember this: what you give, the universe will return to you many times over. Because in this world, light is meant to be shared. Hold onto yours firmly, because somewhere out there are souls walking in the dark, waiting for your light to guide them.